Uganda, landlocked country in East-Central Africa. About the size of Great Britain, Uganda is populated by dozens of ethnic groups. The English language and Christianity help unite these diverse peoples, who come together in the cosmopolitan capital of Kampala, a verdant city whose plan includes dozens of small parks and public gardens and a scenic promenade along the shore of Lake Victoria, Africa's largest freshwater lake. The Swahili language unites the country with its East African neighbors Kenya and Tanzania. Republic of Uganda is a landlocked country in East Africa. The country is bordered to the east by Kenya, to the north by South Sudan, to the west by the Democratic Republic of the Congo, to the southwest by Rwanda, and to the south by Tanzania. The southern part of the country includes a substantial portion of Lake Victoria, shared with Kenya and Tanzania. Uganda is in the African Great Lakes region, lies within the Nile Basin, and has a varied but generally modified equatorial climate. As of 2023, it has a population of around 49.6 million, of which 8.5 million live in the capital and largest city of Kampala. Uganda is named after the Buganda Kingdom, which encompasses a large portion of the south of the country, including the capital Kampala, and whose language Luganda is widely spoken throughout the country. From 1894, the area was ruled as a protectorate by the United Kingdom, which established administrative law across the territory. Uganda gained independence from the UK on October 9, 1962. The period since then has been marked by violent conflicts, including an 8-year-long military dictatorship led by Idi Amin. The official language is English, although the constitution states that any other language may be used as a medium of instruction in schools or other educational institutions or for legislative, administrative, or judicial purposes as may be prescribed by law. Luganda, a central region-based language, is widely spoken across the central and southeastern regions of the country, and several other languages are also spoken including Adiso, Lango, Akoli, Runyoro, Runyankole, Rukaga, Luo, Ruturo, Samaya, Jopadhola, and Luzoga. In 2005 Swahili, which is foreign and so viewed as being neutral, was proposed as Uganda's second official language, but this has yet to be ratified by Parliament. However, in 2022 Uganda decided to make Swahili a mandatory subject in the school curriculum. Uganda's current president is Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who took power in January 1986 after a protracted 6-year guerrilla war. Following constitutional amendments that removed term limits for the president, he was able to stand and was elected president in the 2011, 2016 and 2021 general elections. The Protectorate of Uganda was a protectorate of the British Empire from 1894 to 1962. In 1893, the Imperial British East Africa Company transferred its administration rights of territory consisting mainly of the Kingdom of Buganda to the British government. Uganda gained independence from the UK on October 9, 1962 with Queen Elizabeth II as head of state and Queen of Uganda. In October 1963, Uganda became a republic but maintained its membership in the Commonwealth of Nations. The first post-independence election, held in 1962, was won by an alliance between the Uganda People's Congress, UPC, and Kabaka Yeka, KY. UPC and KY formed the first post-independence government with Milton Obote as executive prime minister, with the Buganda Kabaka, King, Edward Mutesa II holding the largely ceremonial position of president. In 1966, following a power struggle between the Obote-led government and King Mutesa, Obote suspended the constitution and removed the ceremonial president and vice president. In 1967, a new constitution proclaimed Uganda a republic and abolished the traditional kingdoms. Obote was declared the president. After a military coup on January 25, 1971, Obote was deposed from power and General Idi Amin seized control of the country. Amin ruled Uganda as dictator with the support of the military for the next 8 years. He carried out mass killings within the country to maintain his rule. An estimated 80,000 to 500,000 Ugandans died during his regime. Aside from his brutalities, he forcibly removed the entrepreneurial Indian minority from Uganda. In June 1976, Palestinian terrorists hijacked an Air France flight and forced it to land at Entebbe Airport. 100 of the 250 passengers originally on board were held hostage until an Israeli commando raid rescued them 10 days later. Amin's reign was ended after the Uganda-Tanzania War in 1979, in which Tanzanian forces aided by Ugandan exiles invaded Uganda. In 1980, the Ugandan Bush War broke out, resulting in Yoweri Museveni became president since his forces toppled the previous regime in January 1986. In 1993, Pope John Paul II visited Uganda during his 6-day pastoral trip to urge Ugandans to seek reconciliation. During mass celebrations, he paid homage to the slain Christian martyrs. Uganda is located in Southeast Africa between 1°S and 4°N latitude, and between 30°E and 35°E longitude. Its geography is very diverse, consisting of volcanic hills, mountains, and lakes. The country sits at an average of 900 meters above sea level. Both the eastern and western borders of Uganda have mountains. The Rwenzori mountain range contains the highest peak in Uganda, which is named Alexandra and measures 5,094 meters. Much of the south of the country is heavily influenced by one of the world's biggest lakes, Lake Victoria, which contains many islands. The most important cities are located in the south, near this lake, including the capital Kampala and the nearby city of Entebbe. Lake Kyoga is in the center of the country and is surrounded by extensive marshy areas. Although landlocked, Uganda contains many large lakes. Besides Lakes Victoria and Kyoga, there are Lake Albert, Lake Edward, and the smaller Lake George. It lies almost completely within the Nile Basin. The Victoria Nile drains from Lake Victoria into Lake Kyoga and thence into Lake Albert on the Congolese border. It then runs northwards into South Sudan. An area in eastern Uganda is drained by the Suam River, part of the internal drainage basin of Lake Turkana. The extreme northeastern part of Uganda drains into the Lodokipai Basin, which is primarily in Kenya. Uganda is home to a vast number of species, including a population of mountain gorillas in the Bwindi Impenetrable National Park, gorillas and golden monkeys in the Mgahinga Gorilla National Park, and hippos in the Murchison Falls National Park. Jackfruit can also be found throughout the country. Uganda has 60 protected areas, including 10 national parks, Bwindi Impenetrable National Park and Rwenzori Mountains National Park, both UNESCO World Heritage Sites, Kibale National Park, Kidepo Valley National Park, Lake Mbero National Park, Mgahinga Gorilla National Park, Mount Elgon National Park, Murchison Falls National Park, Queen Elizabeth National Park, and Semuliki National Park. The President of Uganda is both head of state and head of government. The President appoints a Vice President and a Prime Minister to aid him in governing. The Parliament is formed by the National Assembly, which has 449 members. These include 290 constituency representatives, 116 district woman representatives, 10 representatives of the Uganda People's Defence Forces, 5 representatives of the youth, 5 representatives of workers, 5 representatives of persons with disabilities, and 18 ex officio members. Uganda is a member of the East African Community, EAC, along with Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, and South Sudan. According to the East African Common Market Protocol of 2010, the free trade and free movement of people is guaranteed, including the right to reside in another member country for purposes of employment. This protocol, however, has not been implemented because of work permit and other bureaucratic, legal, and financial obstacles. Uganda is a founding member of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, an 8-country bloc including governments from the Horn of Africa, Nile Valley, and the African Great Lakes. Its headquarters are in Djibouti City. Uganda is also a member of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. In Uganda, the Uganda People's Defence Force serves as the military. The number of military personnel in Uganda is estimated at 45,000 soldiers on active duty. The Uganda Army is involved in several peacekeeping and combat missions in the region, with commentators noting that only the United States Armed Forces is deployed in more countries. Uganda has soldiers deployed in the northern and eastern areas of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and in the Central African Republic, Somalia, and South Sudan. As of 2022, Uganda is divided into 4 regions of Uganda and 136 districts. Rural areas of districts are subdivided into sub-counties, parishes, and villages. Municipal and town councils are designated in urban areas of districts. Political subdivisions in Uganda are officially served and united by the Uganda Local Governments Association, ULGA, a voluntary and non-profit body which also serves as a forum for support and guidance for Ugandan subnational governments. Parallel with the state administration, 5 traditional Bantu kingdoms have remained, enjoying some degrees of mainly cultural autonomy. The kingdoms are Toro, Buzaga, Bunyoro, Buganda, and Rwenzururu. Furthermore, some groups attempt to restore Ankole as one of the officially recognized traditional kingdoms, to no avail yet. Several other kingdoms and chiefdoms are officially recognized by the government, including the Union of Alur Chiefdoms, the Itso Paramount Chieftaincy, the Paramount Chieftaincy of Lango and the Padhola State. The Bank of Uganda is the central bank of Uganda and handles monetary policy along with the printing of the Ugandan shilling. The country has largely untapped reserves of both crude oil and natural gas. While agriculture accounted for 56% of the economy in 1986, with coffee as its main export, it has now been surpassed by the services sector, which accounted for 52% of GDP in 2007. Uganda traditionally depends on Kenya for access to the Indian Ocean port of Mombasa. Efforts have intensified to establish a second access route to the sea via the lakeside ports of Bukaza in Uganda and Musoma in Tanzania, connected by railway to Arusha in the Tanzanian interior and to the port of Tanga on the Indian Ocean. Uganda is a member of the East African Community and a potential member of the planned East African Federation. Uganda has a large diaspora, residing mainly in the United States and the United Kingdom. This diaspora has contributed enormously to Uganda's economic growth through remittances and other investments, especially property. There are 35 airports in Uganda. Commercial airlines operate scheduled passenger services out of 4 airports. Uganda currently has one functioning international airport, Entebbe International Airport, which is located 25 miles, 40 kilometers, southwest of Kampala. In 2017, the airport traffic hit 1.53 million passengers, 8% more than the previous year. A second international airport, Hoima International Airport, is currently under construction. Road transportation is the most important way of transportation in Uganda. 95% of freight and passenger traffic is handled by road traffic. The rail network in Uganda is approximately 1,260 kilometers, 780 miles, long. The longest lines are the main line from Kampala to Torora, 249 kilometers, 155 miles, the western line from Kampala to Kasas, 333 kilometers, 207 miles, the northern line from Torora to Pakwak, 641 kilometers, 398 miles. There are 7 telecommunications companies serving over 21 million subscribers in a population of over 34 million. More than 95% of internet connections are made using mobile phones. Uganda is richly endowed with abundant energy resources, which are fairly distributed throughout the country. These include hydropower, biomass, solar, geothermal, peat and fossil fuels. Uganda's educational system, while lacking in many areas, has seen significant change since the late 1990s. The educational system is set up so that children spend 7 years in primary school, 6 years in secondary school, and 3 to 5 years in post-secondary school. Tourism in Uganda is focused on Uganda's landscape and wildlife. The Uganda Tourism Board is responsible for maintaining information pertaining to tourism in Uganda. The main attractions are photo safaris through the national parks and game reserves. Other attractions include the mountain gorillas found in Bwindi Impenetrable National Park, BINP, and Gahinga Gorilla National Park, MGNP. Uganda, having some of the oldest cultural kingdom in Africa, has many cultural sites. Uganda is a birding paradise boasting a massive bird list of more than 1,073 recorded bird species, ranking 4th in Africa's bird species and 16th internationally. Uganda has landscapes ranging from white-capped Rwenzori Mountains to the Great Rift Valley. According to the UNCRA, Uganda hosts over 1.4 million refugees on its soil as of August 2021. Most come from neighboring countries in the African Great Lakes region, particularly South Sudan, 68%, and Democratic Republic of the Congo, 24.6%. In August 2021, Uganda received some refugees from Afghanistan following the Taliban takeover. Swahili, a widely used language throughout the African Great Lakes region, was approved as the country's second official national language in 2005. English was the only official language until the Constitution was amended in 2005. The Roman Catholic Church had the largest number of adherents, 39.3%, down from 41.6% in 2002, followed by the Anglican Church of Uganda, 32%, down from 35.9%. The category of evangelical/Pentecostal/born-again showed the most growth, rising from 4.7% in 2002 to 11.1% in 2018. Adventist and other Protestant churches claimed most of the remaining Christians, although there was also a small Eastern Orthodox community. The next most reported religion of Uganda was Islam, with Muslims representing 13.7% of the population, up from 12.1% in 2002. Uganda has a number of media outlets that broadcast domestically and globally. They cover news, magazines, sports, business, and entertainment. Popular Ugandan newspapers include New Vision, Daily Monitor, Bukit, The Observer, East African Business Week, Red Pepper. The most popular television stations in Uganda include Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC, NTV, NBS Television, Sanyuka TV, Baba TV, Top TV, Spark TV. All of the media is controlled and regulated under the Uganda Communications Commission, UCC. Football is the national sport in Uganda. The Uganda national football team, nicknamed the Cranes, is controlled by the Federation of Uganda Football Associations. They have never qualified for the FIFA World Cup finals. Their best finish in the African Cup of Nations was second in 1978. Among clubs, SC Villa are the most successful, having won the National League 16 times and reached the final of the African Cup of Champions Clubs in 1991, a feat also achieved by Simba SC in 1972. KCCA are second in National League wins with 13. As of 2020, Uganda at the Olympics has won a total of 2 gold, 3 silver, and 2 bronze medals, 4 of which were in boxing and 3 in athletics. Uganda at the Commonwealth Games has collected 13 gold medals and a total 49 medals, all in boxing and athletics. In cricket, Uganda was part of the East Africa team that qualified for the Cricket World Cup in 1975. The country has an increasingly successful national basketball team. It is nicknamed the Silverbacks, and made its debut at the 2015 FIBA Africa Championship. Thank you for watching this video, fans.